Peonies are an old-fashioned garden favorite, and one of the best places to see them in bloom is here at Iris City Gardens in Prim Springs, Tennessee. But what I really want to show you today is a peony that is not your grandmother's old-fashioned favorite. Joining me today is Greg McCullough from Iris City Gardens, one of the owners here. You and Macy have had this for how long?
Been 20 years now.
20 years. And in front of us, these two rows, this is a peony called Bartzella. And this really is the peony that sort of started it all as far as commercial popularity for what we're looking at today.
That's right. This was introduced in 1986 by a hybridizer named Roger Anderson. And this has been probably the most popular intersectional peony ever.
Right. So you call it an intersectional peony, and I know some people call them Itoh peonies also. Explain to me what that means.
Well, the first, this is a tree peony crossed with an herbaceous peony. Your grandmother's old peony was the herbaceous. And the trees are much more difficult to propagate. This one, these are crosses between the two, and they die all the way to the ground in the winter, just like the herbaceous.
Right.
But they've got real strong stems from the tree peonies. The first person to do these crosses was a Japanese gentleman, Dr. Itoh, and so these are also called Itoh hybrids or intersectionals. Dr. Itoh, from what I've read, made 20,000 crosses with different tree peonies and herbaceous peonies till he finally got a cross that took.
Something that was viable.
Yes. Those were introduced in the U.S. In the 60s as Yellow Dream, Yellow Emperor, and a couple of other yellows. But it wasn't until Roger Anderson did Bartzella that they really took off.
Certainly before we never had yellow.
That's true. They were never yellow in the herbaceous, and the first 5 or 6 that were hybridized were yellows, and they have this beautiful rose-colored flare. That's what those are called. That comes from the tree peonies.
Okay.
And that's in all of the intersectionals. You'll see those flares.
Right. So there were yellow tree peonies, and that's one of the reasons people love them so much. Not only yellow, but just those really rich, intense colors.
Yes.
And that's been passed on now to what essentially grows as an old-fashioned or herbaceous type peony.
That's right. Yes.
Of the many varieties that you grow, I mean, Cor Louise obviously is a paler, lighter colored flower, almost white with the dark blotches. But what are some of your favorites that you've got out here?
Well, New Millennium is a newer one from Roger Anderson, and it's close to our favorite. It is just gorgeous. I've got one that's nearly black. That's from Mr. Anderson. I've got just a range of colors because the tree peonies just really had more color in the blooms than the herbaceous peony.
Right. You know, it's almost it almost seems like with this line of breeding that we could almost compare it to what people have done with the purple coneflower recently. They used that yellow of that Echinacea paradoxa to sort of expand the color range of a plant that really came in shades of pink and purple and white, and now the same thing happened a long time ago with peonies, but they're becoming popular on the market now.
Yeah. This is the tree peony foliage that's come along with the flowers. It's much less disease prone. It doesn't get botrytis like the herbaceous peony. It stays much healthier and greener all growing season and all it really till the fall, where the herbaceous peonies look pretty beat up.
Right, and these plants seem to be very strongly upright, very shrubby, and
yes, they get a very strong stems from the tree peonies, so they don't. Where you had to tie up the old-fashioned ones, you don't ever have to tie these up.
They hold their heads up high and don't hang their blooms in the mud and all of that.
That's correct, yes.
So, as we get out of the kind of yellow and apricot color range, which is one of the reasons I think some of these are so popular, we also get into some beautiful pinks. And what other colors do the intersectionals come in?
We've got some nice reds. We have one that's beautiful purple and one that's nearly black.
All right.
And then we have multicolored ones that have pink and yellow in them that will look from a distance will look almost orange.
So a nice kind of blend of colors in some of them, really.
Right. There's lots of different colors coming out of the tree peonies,
right.
moving over into the
right.
into the intersectionals.
So things like Rosy Prospect, which is a nice soft colored one, and then on up into these beautiful plants like Scarlet Heaven that have those really rich, deep tones in the blooms. Well, and our little time together here has brought the wind and the rain out, but that's all right, we need it. If you will, speak just quickly for us about the culture of these peonies.
Well, like the herbaceous, you plant with the eyes just below the surface. They don't want to be covered. We do a little mulch around them to hold the moisture in,
sure.
to keep the weeds down. We use a balanced fertilizer, usually a triple 14 slow release fertilizer.
Okay.
And they want to stay moist. They can take full sun or half day shade. And pretty much like the herbaceous, you grow them exactly the same conditions.
Okay.
But it's a rich, slightly acidic soil that they're in.
Okay, very good. So be on the lookout for some of these new, unusual, and very beautiful peonies, and Iris City is a great place to come and see them.
For inspiring garden tours, growing tips, and garden projects, visit our website at volunteergardener.org or on YouTube at the Volunteer Gardener channel, and like us on Facebook.